welcome to A Fistful of Dice. My name is Matt, and this is going to be my second video response for Andrew's video response week over at Dawnforge Cast. This video is going to be a response to his designing a game video, in which he puts out the call for people to talk about if they had an unlimited budget, unlimited time, unlimited resources to be able to create the perfect game, whether it be video game or tabletop or board game or whatever, what would they create? And I've been thinking about this. I went to the gym today and I was just sitting there working out thinking about this, and then I was driving around, I was thinking about it. I was working a little bit today thinking about it, so I can't come up with a definitive answer. So I'm just gonna, I have some notes written down, so I'm just gonna kind of rattle on for a little bit and see if I can come up with sort of a cohesive idea. Because I want to take, kind of like Kirk at PhD&D did. He just took kind of pieces from different games that he liked and kind of put them together into a sort of awesome RPG that he was talking about. So the thing that my game would be, it would probably be, and I'm talking about a video game here, it would probably be fantasy, but it would have elements of science fiction in it. I'm a big fan of fantasy that has emerging technology, and not necessarily guns, but you know, if they uncover some artifacts from an ancient really advanced race that aren't around anymore, and they're able to sort of utilize that technology that they find. I think that sort of is really neat. It's always really cool to play in a setting that is on the verge of a big change. So like an industrial revolution, something like that. So the setting would be fantasy, medieval fantasy, but with some elements of emerging technology, whether that be arcane or scientific, you know, whatever. The other thing is, you know, a lot of the RPGs that I really love, like Fallout and Skyrim, Dragon Age, Mass Effect, you know, the setting is rich, but it's also different locations are very similar to one another. I would want a world that is so vast and expansive that there are drastically different places to go to. In Skyrim, for example, it all takes place in one region, and so it all kind of looks the same. You know, it's a beautiful game, but you know, you're in the north, it's snowy, that's pretty much the gist of it. I want a world that is so massive that you can journey to completely different cultures, just vastly different from one another, different sort of climates and regions. You know, pass over mountain ranges and come out on the other side and find a just sprawling desert, things like that. Imagine like a Skyrim style game where you can go over the mountains and go to you know, what's the province right next to it, Hammerfall or something like that, or go to Morrowind or something like that. And I guess there's an expansion where you can go to Morrowind now, but the point remains just an expansive world with vastly different cultures, to the point where when your character goes to a new area, it's like culture shock almost, you know what I mean? So that's the setting. Characters. I don't want it to be one character. I want it to be party-centric. Some of my favorite games allow you to fully customize a party and not just a characters, like Dragon Age or even the old XCOM games, fully outfit all of your guys. Baldur's Gate is another example. Be able to dictate how your entire party fights and behaves, what they're wearing, what magical items they're doing. And this would bring us to combat. One of my favorite combat systems is the original Dragon Age Origins, because it has this really neat sort of almost like a programming system, like a macro system, where you can set up certain PCs to do things when certain conditions are met. So an example would be you'd set up if you are, you select if you are below, if you hit 50% health, use a potion. And you could do, if you are below 50% health, use a spell, you know, that kind of stuff. You could say, if an enemy is preparing to cast a spell, shield bash them. Stuff like that. You can get really, really in-depth. And what I would do is I would combine that macro system with some pre-built macros that you could really, so if you weren't really wanting to go in-depth, that in depth with how the combat works. You can like pick a character and choose like, you know, preset macros. I want this guy to be a mage killer. Like if someone's casting a spell, he's on him. You know, this person, I'm gonna have them be the healer. If anyone in the party takes damage, they're gonna go to that person and heal them. If no one is hurt, they're gonna do buffs, that kind of stuff. And what I would want is I would want the characters in the party to sort of take on a life of their own. And the difference in my game would be you can actually create every single member of your party. In most games, you gather your party up and they're already in the game. I would like you to be able to create your entire party, like a whole 4 or 5 person party. You can completely create and customize every single one. Now that's a little bit overwhelming if you're not into that, so there would of course be some pre-built, like hundreds of pre-built characters that you could choose from to have in your party. But I would want those characters, based on how you created them and how you statted them, to take on a life of their own. Start behaving in a way that you want them to behave. So I don't know how I would do it, but you know, a lot of these games allow you complete control over combat situations. I want you to be able to like control how your characters react in social situations as well. You know, the facial expressions they make, the things that they are able to say, that sort of stuff. I think that would be really awesome. What else? Oh, I hate silent protagonists, and I understand why silent protagonists exists. Because it would be incredibly ridiculous to have to record all of that voice work for multiple different characters. Like, you know, if, for example, in Dragon Age, if they had to record voice work for every single possible, like, male dwarf, female dwarf, gruff male dwarf, you know, like, male human, female human, wizard, you know, whatever, all of those different voice sets for every single possible line of dialogue in the game, that's a little ridiculous. But I have an unlimited budget, unlimited time, and unlimited resources. I do not like silent protagonists. I would provide multiple, like maybe even hundreds of possible voice sets for all of your characters for every single possible line of dialogue in the game. A great example of a non-silent protagonist is Commander Shepard from the Mass Effect series. Now, in the Mass Effect series, you can design your Shepard however you want, male or female, and you can decide how they look, how they act, their past, their background, which I'm going to get to that in a second, but Commander Shepard has lines. Commander Shepard speaks. You get to know his or her voice. And of all of the video game protagonists that I have played as and I've been able to customize, my Commander Shepard from the Mass Effect series was the one that I felt like I identified with the most, the one that I liked the most, got the most attached to. Because you can play the same Shepard through all 3 games, and you get to know voice mannerisms, you know, they take on a life of their own. In character creation, going back a little bit, I would want to be able to decide hindrances as well as edges or feats or something like that. You know, I want to be able to choose, like, what are these characters' weaknesses. In addition to that, I want an option somehow to choose their past. Sort of like you could do in Skyrim, where you choose, like, or not Skyrim, but just any of the Elder Scrolls games where you choose, like, what sign you were born under and stuff like that. I want to be able to choose, like, almost like traits in Pathfinder. Like, this character is an orphan. This character is comes from rich nobility. This character is a veteran, was once in the military. This character, blah, 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 blah. And be able to pick things that don't necessarily affect them mechanically, but affect them in social situations. So, and then combat-wise, the way it would work is it would be a mixture of turn-based and real-time. So you'd be able to pause and queue up actions, and they'd show up in like a queue. So you'd have like your characters, you'd have your little character portraits, and you'd pause the game and you'd queue up actions. So like, you know, next to a character, you'd be like, I want you to attack this guy, and then take a potion, then cast the spell and continue attacking this guy. So it'd be like sword, little health symbol, spell symbol, another sword. So you could tell, like, okay, this is what's all queued up, you know, and you could even have like a timeline of like, this is when all of this stuff is going to happen. So you can plan out the combat, and then you could very easily pause and like take those actions off to be able to like queue up new actions if like something happens where you're like, I don't need to do that anymore. And then you just, you know, unpause it and it would play out. I really like sort of turn-based, but I like the ferocity and the sort of the immediacy of like real-time strategy. So yeah, I would definitely do that. But and yeah, I would want your character to have like consequences. Like the actions have consequences that carry over through the entire game, you know, building up a reputation and stuff like that. So yeah, so you know, in closing, it would be like it would be medieval fantasy with some emerging technology, huge expansive world with vastly different cultures and regions and climates, party-based rather than a single hero, really rich, deep character customization, including characters' pasts and personalities and things like that, so that those characters can then take on a life of their own within the game. And full voice acting, just the best damn voice acting in any video game for every permeation of every character, like hundreds of different voice sets you can pick for each character. So yeah, I think that's it. I think that's all that I could come up with. I'd want a really good soundtrack too. Like I would probably get Jeremy Sewell to do the soundtrack for sure. So. But anyway, guys, so that is my video game. If I had unlimited time, resources, and all the personnel that I wanted, that's what the video game would be for sure. So anyway, guys, that's going to be it from me. I'm looking forward to everyone else's responses. Another good video response, Andrew, and I'm looking forward to more. So take care, everybody, and happy gaming all.